Wozniak. Winkowski, I'm sorry.
Here.
Mr. Zale.
Here.
Mr. Vrieselaar.
Here.
Mr. Olive.
Here.
Mayor Safarian.
I am here.
If I can have a approval of the August 19th, 2025 minutes. Those have been reviewed. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Hearing no objections, the minutes of the August 19th, 2025 regular meeting are hereby approved. First matter before us today is ST 1586-25, split transfer for variance on width to depth in an R2 medium density residential zone district on the property described as parcel number 4454564. The location is 2045 Lillis Drive. The applicant owner is Shad Halley Properties LLC. Mr. Schrage.
Mr. Chair, the owner is requesting to split a 40-foot by 145-foot section off of the south side of parcel 4454564, which is a reversal of an earlier combination done in 2005. The survey shows the split is granted. If the split is granted, two parcels would be created. The smaller lot will contain an existing garage with an illegal second-floor studio apartment and will have 40 feet of frontage, which does not comply with the Oregon Municipal Code minimum requirement of 70 feet in an R2 medium-density residential zone district. This lot will also have a very large front yard and a 5.4-foot rear yard setback, which does not comply with the minimum 30-foot code requirement. The larger lot will contain a primary dwelling and an existing detached garage behind it. Currently, there is approximately 8 feet between the two detached garages. However, if the split is granted, the detached garage on the larger lot will be 2.3 to 2.4 feet off of the newly created south property line. In addition, separating the utilities will be difficult and costly. The Project Review Committee met on October 9th, 2025, and objected to the proposed split transfer because it does not fit in with the rest of the neighboring properties due to the structure being set back from all of the other primary structures on the street and does not protect the integrity of the surrounding neighborhood. Doing so creates too many nonconformities and would raise possible issues between property owners if the separated lots are later sold due to having this shared driveway. The Public Service Department and Building and Zoning Department object to the request as submitted.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Make your presentation.
Okay, so the reason I'm doing this is that this has actually been an existing dwelling for the last 20 years. A neighbor complaint recently is why we're here. Every lot in this area is 40 foot wide, and I'm just asking that it be split back to the way it was originally intended. All the things that he mentioned, I do have a variance meeting tomorrow to address all that.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
If this were to go through, is there a plan, was it mentioned there's a plan for a driveway to be put in?
Mr. Zale,
There is a driveway.
Mr. Chair,
What's
and
that?
Mr.
There is a
Zale,
driveway.
There is one
there is
now.
a single driveway,
There is one now. I know.
but it is, the majority of it is on the larger lot that would remain, and then the smaller lot that would be created would only have part of that driveway, so that would be considered a shared driveway unless the applicant decided to widen it or create two separate driveways, one for each lot.
Okay, so now what you're talking about right now is on the actual south side of the residence right now. But then we have a property on the north side of that house also?
The driveway would be on the north side of the newly created 40-foot wide lot and the south side of the newly created larger lot, which has the original dwelling.
Do you reside there now?
No one resides there now. I'm not allowed, it's not allowed to be a dwelling. I intend to reside there if I'm allowed to live there again.
What about the house itself?
The house is a short-term rental.
Is it a short-term rental? So you're renting it right now?
The main house, yeah.
It's being rented, okay. Someone is living there right now under a rent agreement with you,
It's a short-term rental,
okay.
so
How short-term?
it can be one day.
Okay, and is the property above that garage, that apartment that was created, is anybody living in that right now?
No, I'm
Because
not
it's
allowed to have-
illegally.
I was told I'm not allowed to have anyone live there now.
Pardon me?
There's no occupancy permit issued.
Okay,
That's why I'm here. I want to live there. So but like you can't have two dwellings on one property, so I want to have two dwellings on two properties. If the driveway is an issue or there's issues, I would be willing to resolve the issues, but this is my first step.
Mr. Chairman,
Mayor?
and I was at the project review committee. The problem here is that everything you want to do is everything we try to keep from happening in these situations. It's everything to try to have the integrity of a neighborhood, and that's everything you want to undo. And in some instances, I would grant that we do make some provisions for people to be granted things when it is consistent with a neighborhood, which makes more sense. Having this dwelling that sets way back at the back of the property, the other one's at the front, it does everything that you traditionally wouldn't want to do in a neighborhood.
The dwelling's not going away, though. It's already built. I'm not asking to have a future building here. It's been there for 20 years.
It's a garage. As a garage it
The building's
is,
still going to be there, so if you drive by, it's going to look exactly the same.
I understand that. But we have to deal with a certain amount of consistency here that we do. And it's very unusual.
So I could just build another house in front of it, though. But I need a
You would
split.
you would need a split, you would need side yard setbacks. You don't have a big enough parcel to actually build another house without applying for a lot of things.
The entire
live
neighborhood
right
is
across the
40-foot
street
lots,
from this
so I would not be the only one on a 40-foot lot. There's literally 5 houses between Bay Shore and the lake on Lilas on a 40-foot lot already.
I'm saying this is a real big ask.
I bought the house as 2 dwellings, after it was 2 dwellings for 20 or 15 years when I bought it. So I bought it thinking that it was okay to do this. Now, maybe that's my mistake, but
That would certainly be.
But that's kind of also unfair to me because I did buy it as a 2-dwelling property. Both-
Not really.
When I bought it, both of these places were listed on Airbnb. And I paid what I paid for it because of that. And I'm willing to do what I need to do to make it right, but if I can't get a split, then there's nothing I can do. I'm just asking for a pathway to make it right.
I don't see one.
Mr. Schraik, the only question I have is, at the current time, are there any variances or temporary uses or any type of authority or authorization from this board or BZA on this property? You get what I'm asking? Is there currently something that's dictating what he can do there?
Mr. Chair, currently, the garage conversion to the south was illegally converted into an apartment. It was originally built as an accessory, secondary structure, garage structure, has a garage door. Without a certificate of occupancy, it is not to be occupied as the apartment. And so Mr. Helly was informed of that, and so he has agreed to, in the meantime, cease operations as a short-term rental for that structure until it's been resolved. This case is going before the Board of Zoning Appeals tomorrow based on the approval from this board to move forward with the split. If this board denies the split, then there's not a whole lot for the BZA to render a decision on. But the BZA would give a variance on the 40-foot wide minimum yard front width, which is supposed to be 70 foot in the code. And then they would also need to give a variance on the rear yard setback. He would still need to follow through with getting a certificate of occupancy and inspection of the apartment that was built illegally on the second floor.
Mr. Zale?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I looked at this before, and I'm very familiar with this property. That garage with the apartment above it is mostly, or at least half behind the residence.
Half
And
behind
it-
what?
And you wanna, and you,
It's almost all the way.
based
behind
on
the
that, it doesn't look like that, but based on the picture I've seen and how I know it looks, that garage is actually behind the house.
That's
I mean, it sticks out a little bit, so I mean, how could you even put a line through that property? It's almost like you'd have to zigzag it around that somehow, but, you know, that's the way I'm seeing this. I don't get how that can be possible.
40 foot would put the line about in the middle of the driveway.
Oh, I see, you're using, okay, now I understand what you're saying. If you're using the middle of the driveway to cut that property to the south,
Yeah.
that garage and that apartment is still gonna be on the property that has the house.
No, when I split it, it would be that, I hate to say house, because
That doesn't make sense to me.
the building farthest to the south will be, I mean, it's approximately 10 feet off the property line, that is around 25 foot wide, and then I think it's like 8 feet, whatever, to equal 40, or it's 5 feet actually, is what it needs to be. But, then it will be on a lot completely by itself. No other building will be on that lot. It would just be this one. The side setbacks are okay, but it is back farther.
I lived across the street from this house. And I just remember that just like that. I'm just confused because I'm looking at the Google Earth picture on this. And it does remind me of what I was familiar with, how this looks. It doesn't look like that. That building does not look that separated from the house, from what I recall, and from what I'm seeing on this.
What is on the screen right there is a survey from, that identifies the exact location of the structures.
The other picture probably shows it better there.
So yeah, if you took lot 49 and you put a line, it's roughly right in the middle of the driveway. It might not be the middle, but it's 5 feet away from the building, then that's the line, and then that building's just there by itself on its own property.
49 and 48, yeah.
There would be a straight line, there wouldn't be any zigzag.
So the building's on 49.
This
There's a garage.
image that you see now is rotated different from the survey image.
Okay.
So you'll have to rotate this counterclockwise.
Yeah.
90
Is
degrees.
there any
Yeah, so the
requirement?
road's actually running on the
Is there
bottom
any
of this
requirement in the code that the living structure has to be so close to the road, or is it just a set-off minimum?
There are, Mr. Chair, there are setback requirements in the zoning code for rear yard, front yard. Because the problem with this is because this secondary accessory structure was built as an accessory structure, not as a primary structure. It is very close to the rear property line. So in essence, if it becomes a primary structure, a primary dwelling on the newly created split lot, it will have a very deep front yard and literally no backyard. The side yards do meet the requirements, luckily, because of where the surveyed line ends, because there's roughly 8 feet between the two structures. And you need a 5-foot setback and a 3-foot setback, 3 foot from the detached original garage and 5 foot from what would be created as a new dwelling. So that does meet that requirement, but it doesn't meet your front yard and rear yard setbacks.
But that can change. As in, a variance can happen, or houses can move.
Mr. Chairman, and I would contend when we were looking at a project review, to bear in mind, this was a detached garage that sat behind the house. And when the applicant says that it was unfair to him because it was sold to him as a dwelling, we could find no, unless you found it to this day, no permits were even applied for to build that structure within that garage.
There's permits for the garage, there wasn't.
For the
permits to
garage,
make
yes,
it
I
buildable.
understand that, but I mean, to build that, so it's a structure that didn't really exist.
I was unaware of that until recently.
Yeah, so those are things that actually does become your responsibility as someone purchasing the house to see indeed what you're buying. It doesn't fall back on the city to,
I watched it for 15 years, have people living there though.
that adds nothing
Okay.
to that. I mean,
But that's my case.
we
You
have
want to
people-
be nice to me and let me continue to have a house here when I bought it, then you can vote for it.
Well, remember, we can't be just nice to you. We'd have to be nice to the whole neighborhood.
Okay.
Anytime we're looking at something.
6108 Bay Shore, and I came in around 2010, and I got the same variance for a back setback. Because
We're not talking about that.
oh, well, but it's right around the block, so it's a similar property.
You're asking for a lot.
Mr. Chair,
Mr.
I'm losing a
Riesler?
lot, though.
you referenced when you purchased it that it was advertised or marketed as two separate. Was that done by
They
a
were
realtor?
literally,
Or
I bought 2 active Airbnbs.
was it a listed property with a real estate firm, or who'd you buy from? Did
I
anybody
just bought it from
represent?
the owners, I don't think they did.
So nobody represented the seller? And you said you witnessed somebody living there for 13, 15
I
years?
know,
Was
I know,
that separate?
I'm friends with the people I bought it off
Separate
of.
families or within the same household, and they just simply had a,
Well, when they first bought it, around 2010, 2011, they lived in the main house, and then they were renting out the apartment above the other garage, just at a month-to-month lease. And then at some point, they changed it, around 2016, they changed it to an Airbnb. And then that was an Airbnb until like a month ago. And then they eventually moved out of that house, the main house, and then they had that main house as an Airbnb. And when I bought it, it was 2 active Airbnbs.
yeah, I'm speaking for myself, I don't think it makes, so I mean, even the utilities, there's a comment in here from the review, that's a whole nother conversation.
I'm willing to split the utilities.
You're gonna go through all those efforts.
Yes, this is like affecting me
Well-
like greatly because I'm losing a lot of money.
Then build a house on that lot.
Well, I can't because unless you guys split the property. You guys at least have to split it. If you don't split it, I can't do it. No matter, I absolutely need it to be split, and I absolutely need the 70-foot. Other things I can overcome if I want. But I cannot overcome the lot being one lot, and I can't overcome the 70-foot thing without the board's voting to allow me to do that. You can vote to like, I can split, but it must, whatever, you can put stuff on it, but
So what would be his process to go through the split effort to build? What steps would require him to do that versus a split, say he's gonna build and he never does anything? You get what I'm asking? That would make more sense if you're ultimately trying to split this property to build a residence, not a garage,
Yeah.
out front. That part makes sense in my brain.
So,
This seems like this is not ideal for that neighborhood, and that would set terrible precedent.
I'm willing to take your advice and I'm willing to do something else, but I really needed to have a dwelling here. And it doesn't have to be that house. I'll build another one in front, but I don't plan on tearing that down necessarily, unless
So you-
that's what you say I have to do in
So
order to
these
do that.
steps are to make that garage your primary residence.
Well, if you just accept it, if everything's accepted as is, what I'll do is I will make that into a 3-bedroom house. It won't be a garage anymore.
So
I may even add on to the front.
those are a lot of maybes, obviously. What's
I
the
mean-
steps? That would require him to go through that and not just say, yeah, here's my plan. We approve it for a split and it never happens.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Wieslar, that is part of the problem because once it's split, there wouldn't, even with conditions, I'm not sure how it would revert. He would also have to get approval from the BZA for the variances that I described earlier. If he were to build another structure, which would become the primary structure on the new lot that is only 40 foot wide, he would either have to get an additional variance on the minimum square foot of a house on the smaller lot, or, and then there would have to be probably some timeline that would have to be established. But again, it gets very difficult to hold them to that if they don't follow through. So that's the only difference. But there is a way there, you can get additional variances, but that's a whole nother body. And I don't know if they'll grant the variance. If they don't, or anywhere along the process, he doesn't get all of the items granted that he's asking for, then it makes the project infeasible.
Can I ask what the minimum is? You know what the minimum square footage is?
I believe it's 1,200 square feet, first floor.
First floor?
Yes.
I mean, I'm willing to add on to, I'm willing to work with whatever I have to do, but I can't do anything without the split. And I think also, I can't live in it. You can split it, but I can do whatever, but like, until I do something, I can't get a dwelling permit, so it's not gonna be any different until I do whatever I need to do to get a dwelling permit. Like, if you split it today, it's 2 lots, but other than that, I can't move into it. It doesn't have a dwelling permit. I still have to do a ton of stuff before I get to that point. But I can't do that without a split.
Was that specifically ever discussed within the review committee? If this split was for the purpose of building a primary residence? Or is that?
Mr. Chairman. Not exactly, but what we do know is that people come up and when we say these bed and breakfasts, they become businesses. And so people will go and live in neither and have the dwellings to rent both of them out as income. that is not, I understand why people do it, but I also understand why others in the neighborhood don't like it. And they do have rights. And you'll say you have the right to do things under certain pretenses, which you don't have, but so we're trying to keep integrity of neighborhoods to a level that people that live there enjoy. I mean, you can shake your head all you want. We
No, I'm not
get
shaking
these,
your head, I'm just, I have something to add to your.
huh?
I'm
But
waiting for
what
this.
I get at is, we deal with these issues all the time. And traditionally, almost every time, the neighborhood is not in favor of it. And I understand why. I understand why you, as a owner of that property, would want to maximize your income. I understand.
intend on living there.
Huh?
I intend, but I also want to make it, I don't.
I'm not done.
Okay, go ahead.
I try to understand all of the stuff. That's what we were trying to understand in the Project Review Committee. But we have to deal with whatever goes on. Once we do something, it's hard to undo. So so we try to keep unusual situations from happening. This is unusual. And that's what our objective would be, to keep unusual things that people traditionally are not happy with from happening in the city.
Okay, well, it can't be a short-term rental anyway.
What's that?
It can't be a short-term rental anyway. You see. they
It's
passed-
still unusual, is all I'm saying.
Oh,
For
okay.
me, this
But
becomes.
What's unusual about it then? Because it
Well, it's
can't
my
be a short-term
opinion.
rental.
I will grant you that is my opinion, but I deal with stuff like this for years and years here, longer than anybody else.
Okay,
And I find it to be not an ideal situation.
okay.
Mr. Schrake, when were these two lots combined?
No, they were always one.
I believe
Well, there's
that-
a reference in the memo that says,
2005.
earlier combination done in 2005. So it's been, obviously, the lots were combined
In 2005.
in 2005.
And was that when that garage was built?
The
So it's a vacant
second,
lot.
the second garage or accessory building
is why
was
they had to
built
join it.
after it was combined.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been allowed to be built
Correct.
prior to that.
Correct.
So since there was a building there, they had to be combined.
That is correct.
But only as a garage, not as a living dwelling.
Correct.
Absolutely.
It was an accessory building.
An accessory building.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Olive?
Steve, would he be able to bring that unit up to code the way it is now through inspections and other, as a granny quarters or another livable quarters for the property?
Yes, he would have to go through the process, and we would have to do safety inspections and such, but there is a path for that, yes.
So he does have an option to occupy that space in the future,
If he gets all
if he
these
gets all his,
Without the split?
yeah, without the split.
No. Without the split, that would be two dwellings on a single property, and that would not be permitted by code.
So I can't, without the split, I just have two garages that I don't need.
So we don't allow like a granny quarters or something like that on a single property?
Not detached, no.
Not detached.
Any other questions for the applicant?
No, I think, just my comment, I guess, is, I don't know how long I've been on maybe 7, 8 years. I think this is the first time, it feels like when the review committee, whom I have a lot of respect for, there's a lot of different experience levels and backgrounds that make that up. I feel like this is the first one that's come to me, or this, that says the word object. Usually they're pulled. Usually there's conversations, hey, we don't think this is gonna go. I could be wrong, I've been wrong many times, but I don't recall the last time that I've had one that says object. In my sniff test of it, just didn't add up from a real estate standpoint. It feels like I'm trying to maximize income on this property, and it feels like that's where this is at. And let me say this, I
I
sympathize,
want to live there, though.
I sympathize with where you're at and what you thought the circumstances were when you bought it. But that doesn't change what I feel like that neighborhood is about, or what we're trying to protect within that neighborhood. If I lived in close proximity to this, I'd be in this room asking all kinds of questions. But that statement for me, that's the part that holds the most weight, is that the review committee, whom I think has been fair in my time here, I feel like there's always, maybe they'll recommend a condition of some, but usually it's not that strong of a position.
I wasn't involved in
And
that.
I think that's where I'm kind of just giving some weight to the comment.
I wasn't involved in that meeting, and I didn't know they were recommending that before I even came. So, but this is all I have. So I either do this, or I don't know what my next steps will be. And like I said, I'm willing to do other things. If the problem is that it's too far back, split it and I'll build a new one, wherever you like.
So you don't have any intentions to live in the residence that's there?
No,
I mean, you
I-
referenced short-term rent.
I have told you
one
several
day
times
rent
that I intend, the second I get a dwelling, I'm gonna move into this. I don't intend to rent it out, and it can't be a short-term rental, because earlier in the year, a law went into effect that says you can't have a short-term rental within 3 feet.
No, I mean the residence that's there. Why aren't you just living in that? That's the part I don't,
'Cause
if you're trying to live
Owning
on
rental
that
property is my
property,
job, and if I live in there, then I've taken my job away. I won't get paid. Just like you probably have a job and you can't not work it because you need money. That's my job and I need money. So I can't live in the rental property, or it takes away my income.
yeah, that's
I
the
don't
part.
have a second job. My job is owning rental property. So if I don't own the rental property, I don't have income.
What's your turnover on that property for rental?
The one that's the main house right now?
Yeah.
Like how many people are staying in it a month?
How often do
maybe?
you turn it over? I mean, it's short term, so how often do you turn it over?
I would say it's probably every 2 to 3 days on average, but it's probably more so in the summer, and then the winter, a lot of times it just gets someone staying for several months at a time because it's less popular to visit here in the winter.
I don't have any further questions. We're gonna allow anybody that wishes to speak. Anybody else in the audience that wishes to speak, either for or against? Mr. Belli?
Chris Bella, I live on 2068 Lilas. I've been a resident there for 22 years. I don't see any of these ideas consistent with the neighborhood. I don't see it improving the neighborhood. Be extremely awkward for the neighbor to the south. It would be, even if he ever built a home there, that would be extremely awkward on a 40-foot lot. I agree that that the intention is probably not that, but that's not my position to say. But overall, I'm strongly opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Just say when. Any
opposed?
objections?
Any objections? Hearing none. Public hearing is closed. Any comments from the commission? My only comment, and I think it's a consensus from the group, is essentially he has an idea and has an outline of what he wants to do, but has had our input, and we've had our input from the
Project review.
project review, thanks, Mayor, I drew an absolute blank. From the project review, and I agree with Mr. Vrieslar that I have never seen anything so strong in opposition to anything we've had here, and I've been here 20 years. Essentially, I can't approve this without any concrete plans of, he's heard our response and we've responded with, well, here's what you could do. Well, it's almost been a trust me type approach of I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. I don't think we generally operate that way. We need to have concrete plans and we need to act on concrete plans. I definitely think that this, I agree with what the project review committee says, and my vote's going to be a no at this point, so. Any other comments? Floor is then open for a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Mayor?
I would move for passage of ST 1586 of 25.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second on the passage of the request for split transfer. An affirmative vote would be a yes, and a negative vote would be a no. Call the roll, please.
Mayor excuse me, Mayor Safarian?
No.
I believe it was Mr. Vrieslar that seconded.
Mr. Zale?
Oh, Mr. Zale, I apologize.
No.
Mr. Zale? No? Mr. Olive?
On recommendations of the Project Review Committee, I have to vote no.
Mr. Vrieslar?
No.
Chairman Winkowski?
No. I think we just need more plans.
So you're saying I can come back, I just need a house plan?
I don't know what the rule is on that, Mr. Schrake. You need to touch base with Mr. Schrake and find out what the rule on that is.
You have time afterwards, or you want to talk tomorrow?
We can discuss this tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Next matter before us is Z 826-25, which is a zoning change from M1 Light Industrial Zone District to C2 General Commercial Zone District on the property described as 2285 Star Avenue, parcel number 44-21527, approximately 1.2048 acres more or less. This zoning change is being initiated by Ronald Reithart for owner Toledo Box and Lumber Incorporated. Mr. Schrake.
Mr. Chair, the applicant had originally filed for a special use exemption for the purpose of allowing their tenant to operate a cheer and gymnastics instruction facility, as well as hosting birthday parties and community movie events for Oregon residents. The Project Review Committee met on Thursday, October 9th, 2025, and discussed the proposed special use. However, upon discussion, the committee ultimately recommended contacting the applicant to inquire if he was amenable to changing his request to a zoning change due to the limited permitted uses in the current M1 zoning. Several properties to the south are already zoned C2, which would allow the current change of use as well as a broader range of general businesses and commercial activities for future tenants. A zoning change would also bring the florist into compliance with the current zoning code. The committee had no concerns or objections to the proposed zoning change with the following condition: issuance of a new certificate of occupancy for B business use complying with the 2024 Ohio Building Code. The Project Review Committee and Building and Zoning Department have no objections to the request as submitted.
Thank you. Mr. Reinhardt? Someone is on their behalf? Okay, come on up. Identify yourself and with an address.
My name's Robert Colmise from 2285 Star Avenue, Toledo Box and Lumber.
it seems pretty clear what you're trying to do. I don't think there's anything really to add to it. And obviously, the zoning change is what's recommended by the project review committee and zoning to accommodate and do what you plan on doing. I'm surprised that this was not commercial of some sort prior to this anyway. So and it seems as though we're gonna clean up the florist as well. So, I don't know if this is gonna be covered on our master plan, for lack of a better phrase, but the new master plan that we have, if this area also will.
It's interesting, it was showed as industry before.
Did it really?
M1.
Okay.
Because that was the original. And until this goes through, is still an M1 because it was a lumber yard.
Okay.
So it's legacy.
it also
was
was a lumber-
legacy zoning.
It was also a lumberyard before the city was a city.
Incorporated, yes. So it's a legacy zoning. And if you see the diagonal line,
I remember when
that, to the north is Toledo, to the south is Oregon. So half, the long, narrow building is split in half. Half of it's in Toledo, half of it's in Oregon.
Well, and we ran into that issue with the ponies.
Yes, we did.
Because
It's the same.
it's, you're dictated by where your front door is.
Correct.
And so that dictates what zoning you're in, even though they could be different.
I think it was
zoning.
more because we served the water and the sewer for
Yeah.
it is what the reason was. But in this case, when we were at the project review, we had discussed that we could alter the zoning and change it, but we didn't have the proper identification at that time to apply for. So coming back and just changing the application was the just proper way. And as long as the applicant was agreeable to it, which I take it you were? I think so. Yeah, and it seemed to be the best course for everybody, for the city and for the applicant.
Yep. I don't believe we have any questions unless Mrs. Ackerman has any questions. We're gonna close the public hearing. Good, thank you. I will move to close the public hearing.
Without objection.
Without objection, the public hearing is closed. The floor is open for a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Zale,
I vote for passage of case Z-826-25.
Second.
roll please.
Mr. Zale?
Yes.
Mr. Olive?
Yes.
Mayor Safarian?
Yes.
Mr. Vrieslar?
Yes.
Chairman Winkowski?
Yes. Good luck, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
There being no further business to come before the committee without objection, the hearing is adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen. And if, for those of you that don't know, November 18th, which is our next meeting, we will have the presentation from the master plan group that will present to us, and we will be voting on passage and adoption of the master plan as completed. So I would hope that if it's not sent to us, that everyone would stop in and take a good look at it so that we can have a valid discussion. And then it's